Welcome, everybody, to Are You Sure You Want to Know? Disruptive questions about faith, culture, and everything in between. I'm Alvin.
I am Mike.
He's the lead pastor of our church, the Conversation SLC. We are having a great conversation today, and this one's not as hairy, I don't think, because this is, I think, one of the most subjective things on the planet.
Definitely.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about masculinity and femininity. What makes the two themselves? What makes me masculine? What makes me feminine? Or
your beard. Your beard makes you masculine.
Right. But what about dude who did the beer commercials that had makeup and you would ask him, is he masculine? He would.
Who?
What's this guy's name? He's a model. I'm gonna look him up. Bearded makeup model. And I think he was in like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
I don't know.
Yeah, Queer Eye.
I know who you're talking about now.
Yep. And he's funny, right? But he is the most feminine dude that you would ever
with a
meet.
beard, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to deny the fact he's a very pretty human.
This is not going to be on the, right? You're going to.
You can. I think it would be great. His name is Jonathan Van Ness. So if you would ask Jonathan Van Ness, what makes him feminine or what makes him masculine, or is he something in between? What do you think he would say?
Don't know. Never having heard him speak a word, it's tough for me to guess what he's going to say.
Well, for a minute, he was all over the TV. That's why I was...
Yeah, I don't know.
So the reason why I say that is because I think it is super subjective. However, there are certain traits that define an individual that gives, the room around them an impression of what that person is, right? So if I am thinking to myself, I am, for the sake of argument, I am a very masculine man. And when I think about how I dress, how I behave, my mannerisms, they are not something that I've affected based on original thought.
Yeah.
These are affectations that I've gotten from my father and all the men in my life, all the men on TV, right? Sure. And so every man before me has defined what it is to me to have male or masculine affectations. Feminine affectations, the way a woman speaks, a way a woman moves, a way a woman dresses, a way a woman looks. And I'm not talking about the other thing, the other topic. We're going to leave that for another show. But I'm simply saying...
What's the other topic?
The trans... So, what defines a woman? What is a woman? I'm simply saying, when you present yourself to the world, you think about these things. How am I going to present what I feel on the inside? So if I present myself in readily identified cultural affectations or mannerisms, then everybody around me is not confused about my presentation. Now, if I come in like Mr. Van Ness and I have a full beard, long, luxurious hair, and full-on makeup and super glam clothes, it makes a person go, I don't know what I'm seeing. Right?
Yeah, the hard part about this whole discussion is aren't femininity and masculinity derivatives of stereotypes from over time learned behaviors and which are based on women acting like women and men acting like men. I mean that as a biological statement, sure. Right? So I'm it's tough to not talk about the differences between men and women, what makes a man or a woman. Now, I would say it's not the behaviors. Behaviors don't make a man or a
sure.
woman. There's some medical biology that kind of supports that. So it's a little tricky to even have the discussion. What is femininity? I don't even know.
I can bend that ideology with affectations. So it's not hard to know a man, a presented man. He has specific affectations that he is either taken on in his life that gives us a clear understanding of who he is. He's not really a blue collar out in the mud kind of guy. He's more of a I like guys kind of guy. Yeah. So, and I'm not passing a judgment. I'm simply saying that we can we can't really define it. Once again, it's super subjective. But let's say this. I am a masculine man, right? So I am required or expected to by people before me or people in front of me. Say, for example, if I have a daughter, she expects me to protect her with my life and limb, right? That is a very, very masculine trait. I watched a bunch of interviews the other day, and it had, would you kill for your child? Like 10 women were all like, and then it was 10 men. Show me where the bodies are hid. You know, that's the answer. Like that, there's no question about that. So does that make it a masculine trait? Does that make it a toxic masculine trait?
Yeah, well, interestingly, I was looking at like what are the statistical differences between men and women, right? Like, let's start there. There's not, statistically speaking, there's not an intellectual difference, right? Women are not smarter than men, and men are not smarter than women on their IQ spectrum. They test out the same, right? There are differences in that, men tend to have a higher mortality rate.
Because we do dumber stuff.
Probably men are more likely to be involved in victims of violent crime.
We have more predisposition for violent behavior than women.
But those things aren't feminine or masculine, or are they? I guess would be the question. And like women tend to be better. They score higher on expressiveness or facial recognition. It's very different. That seem to be kind of unique to
body chemistry.
What they're focused on.
It's body chemistry.
Yeah, and so. I have a hard time really even understanding what the discussion is because the world is becoming more, I remember I'm a big music lover. And so, in the 80s, high androgyny, even there was 70s, serious,
like that glam rock was crazy. These guys had teased hair and makeup, but they were the most masculine dudes ever.
It's weird. And the girls loved them and they loved the women. And I'm like, I don't really understand this. Maybe I don't know. But it was weird to me, and this probably started, T-Rex, Ziggy Stardust kind of era. And so like that's a confusing one. The high androgyny in the rock and roll thing, what is that like a super expressed version of, masculinity that looks like feminine? I don't know. And
there's a thought today, like I could be, because when you and I were growing up, it was not vogue to show emotion as a man.
Yeah.
Right. You had to just suck it up and press on.
Right.
In the culture that I joined when I was young, I joined the military, and in that culture, aside from being, you have to be the stereotypical like definitive manly man, they were the most homoerotic group of guys you would ever. They're not gay, but geez Louise, they would do some wild stuff, right? And so but we knew that there was something that we had to do, and we also assumed that women were incapable of. In fact, there were laws on the books that prevented women from being sent into combat, and now that's changed. But
some of that, let's just be fair. Again, that's not masculinity or femininity. That's a physical difference. I think I was looking at this statistic. I think women are 60 to 70% expressed strength as opposed to a man in the lower body, and 50 to 60% as strong as men in the upper body. Okay, I'm not making a judgment here. This is a statistic.
There's definitely outliers. My wife could kick the mess out of me.
Yeah, and there are right. You could make comparisons where you could make any stat come true. I'm talking the statistical analysis of males and females. There are differences, and so masculinity is what we over time have learned or believed are the ways that men should act. Right? Or the men naturally act, or I'm involved in sports and I hunt and I fish and I wear flannel and, whatever those, I shoot guns or whatever those things
all subjective.
Are. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I know women who shoot guns, wear flannel, and they're great at sports and,
I don't like hunting. I don't like fishing. I hate sports.
Right. So are you feminine?
Right.
Like
correct.
When you boil it down to the differences between men and women, to me, they're only valid if they're statistically proven
or expressed.
Yeah.
I think if it's a global expression that's widely recognized and accepted, you can argue and say this is not a good trait. Like aggression is not a good trait unless you need me to be.
Right.
And that changes the dynamic. So if someone breaks into your house, are you going to be able to do that? If something breaks in your house and you need to lift it and fix it,
this is one of the
you going to be able to do that?
Listen, this is one of the areas where in my home I feel like I this is my own issue. I feel unmanly, and here's why: because I can't I'm not like the handyman who can fix things, so I feel less manly. Like something breaks and I'm like, oh, dudes know how to do this and I don't. It's weird. I'm very serious about this. It really messes with me if I let it. And and then you said this, you look at these traits that you are believed to be how a man or a woman should act. And there are whole books in the 50s written on how women were supposed to act. Right. And my favorite movie, I just watched it a couple weeks ago, John Wayne's The Cowboys. It's all about him.
You better be careful with naming him, dude.
Well, that's the masculine man, right?
And the most misogynist human on earth, dude.
And a lot of these, like the whole story is him taking these kids who are like 12 and 13 on this cattle drive. And they become, boys to men.
There was rites of passage since the beginning of mankind.
But a lot of those same things that were heralded
are now considered brutal.
Are that's unhealthy. I mean, and beyond just like brutal, like you're saying, masking your feelings, hiding your feelings, swallowing your anger, swallowing your sadness, never crying. I mean, those are clinically unhealthy behaviors in large.
I have never been good at that. Yeah. Like I am a crybaby. I'm the most emotional. I'm an emotional creature.
Right.
But the thing is I've never I don't, even though, so that's one thing we can kind of like dispel a lot of this. And once again, never make a definitive statement about anything because there's always going to be the outliers. And that doesn't change the conversation and it doesn't change the facts, right? Because there's going to be an outlier in literally everything. So if I say, out of 1 million people, this is a thing. And if you tell me, well, there's one that isn't, it doesn't change the whole thing. Right. And so I say the reason why I say is this. I have never shied away from the responsibilities that I needed to do. I was never like that. It's always a level of fear, but I respected that fear because the fear is there to protect me. If I had no fear, I'd do dumber things. I've done some pretty retarded things, but I'm talking about like me coming in, you're probably going to have to edit out the retarded.
Yeah, don't say retarded. That's bad.
I've done some really horrible things and dumb things as a man, right, that I don't think a woman would ever do. There's a whole meme thing about here, hold my beer,
Yeah.
So that's like a funny thing because we do engage in dumb things because we think it proves our masculinity, right? So, but a lot of times it is the expression of our strength and our ability to protect. And we do put off that pheromone. We do put off that energy because people, if you want to say that men are more aggressive and men are more, capable in certain circumstances, women, on the other hand, like you said, are more expressive. They have the ability to pick up on certain,
they score higher on like literally that statistic is in testing, they score higher on linguistic stuff, better reading comprehension, some of those kinds of things. But they read us and they go, okay, that's that's going to keep me safe and my kids safe. Yeah. Yeah. And over time, you've seen this before too, that we've probably all done this to some degree where we look at someone based on our perception of what masculine traits or feminine traits are. We make a value judgment on that person. We've never spoken to them, don't know them, but I can tell because the way they're not doing my version of what is normal for, and that's a really dangerous place to be too. You don't want to be making value judgments based on external stuff. Now, it
is so arbitrary. Like it got really bad when I was a kid. Like certain colors would define you as a man. Yeah. Like it's such a weird thing. But I have a burning question. What makes a man toxic? At what point does his male traits that I think we've either, number one, they're either genetic, they're either body chemistry, or we have developed we're denser, we're stronger, by and large. We've been created this way. At what point does that become a toxic trait? Or is it just like I said, you don't want aggression until you need to be protected, right? Or you need this building put up, but you're not going to have a team of ladies, put this building up,
And why would it be ladies? Because there's a masculine family, an expectation. I think that toxicity is around the overexpression of something or the expression of something that is unhealthy. That's toxic, right? You're toxic if you're unhealthy, or you're unhealthy if you're toxic, for sure.
Once again, though, how is that defined?
Well,
where's that line? Is there a hard line, or?
Yeah, let's say my masculinity is expressing into a domination of you. Mm-hmm. That domination is unhealthy. Whatever that masculine trait was that brought out my domination, that's toxic, and It's crossed the line. Or
the subjugation of another.
Yeah, or
if I feel that women are inferior to me.
Right. I was just going to say that same thing. Like, oh, she can't do it. She's a woman. Mm-hmm. Again, that's a surface-based value judgment, which is dangerous to do. But like, it's toxic because I have a whole set of beliefs around certain behaviors and your capabilities. And if it's not statistically proven to be true, then I think you probably shouldn't count on it as true. And so those things that become something that are overbearing or are overexpressed and produce negative results, that's toxic, and it's not just with masculinity and femininity. That's kind of personality kind of stuff in general. So it can be a lot of things, and to the positive, men should do this, or to the positive, men never do this, women never do this, women should do this. Those are tricky topics, and
can there be like a blurring of the lines and still not kind of like redefine the archetype? So, like I said, I'm an emotional creature, but I've never shied away from a fight. I'm the first to volunteer. But I get a kitten video on my phone. I'm bawling my eyes out.
Yeah, no, I'm the same.
My wife will look over and go, "Are you crying?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sobbing.
Okay.
Dude.
I think
there's a song that we sing in church that I literally cannot sing.
Yeah.
I try, my throat goes, whoop.
Yeah.
And I start crying. And but I am the first to volunteer. Send me, I'll go.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Well, yeah, no, I think there needs to be a blurring of lines, because I think we still have a lot of unhealthy concepts around what masculinity is, what femininity is. And so, like, here's a great example for me and my wife. I tend to be the kind of person who, when I'm frustrated or in a dark way or whatever, I'll express my stuff, and I become the typical man of few words in those moments. That's typical. But when I express it, I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to listen.
Really?
Yeah, my wife also is like, when she's in this way and she's expressing her thoughts to me, she sort of moves into like the male response, which is, I want you to fix this. I want to fix your problem, Mike. And I'm like, but I don't want you to.
Dude, I cannot just say something and walk away from it.
Well, I know,
I gotta bang that out in every possible.
I know, but the typical, what they've said typically is men try and solve problems and women just want to be heard. And I'm like, no, I just want you to hear me. I want you to know what I'm feeling inside. And that's a.
Have you ever read that book by Eckhart Tolle?
Which one?
It's called Love and Respect.
Yes.
Dude, that is phenomenal. My wife and I read that book during our premarital counseling with the church. And like that.
What's his name? It's not Eckhart Tolle.
It is.
No, Eckhart. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's not, though. It's not.
Oh, man.
Bet you a quarter.
Love and Respect.
I'll bet you a soda.
It's Emerson Eggerichs.
That's right.
Dang it. Got me.
Anyway, but I know who you're talking about. And I have read the book.
Who wrote something by Eckhart Tolle?
Oh
my gosh. It's another book like that. But anyway, what was really neat about that book was it had, clear delineations. It was like, all right, men typically expect this. Women typically expect that. Women want love. We want respect. Men and women think different. My wife will look in the closet and say, I have nothing to wear. It's full of clothes. I will look in the closet and say, I have nothing clean to wear. Right. So that's like that's the kind of stuff that we have very, very, very different way of thinking. Our minds are wired differently. So on that toxicity topic, are there any behaviors nowadays that are, historically generally considered just a standard masculine trait, or anything that we say or do not considered toxic now?
Well, who are you asking?
Right.
There's where it gets challenging. And, there's modern chivalry, which can seem sexist, or, I think that we've sort of got to get over some of this stuff and just kind of realize, I think, if I'm trying to do good for you, and you don't like it, you think I'm being misogynistic or whatever, or overly masculine, I guess maybe we could say it, then just talk about that. I think again, rather than making judgments, what about having conversations about this, right? Hey, I don't like it when you do that. Well, I was trying to be chivalrous to you and open your door. I don't need you to open my door. I can open, okay. And because even as you talk about the Emerson Eggert's book, Love and Respect, everyone isn't exactly the same. So what respect even means for a man is going to change.
Isn't that defined kind of early in the relationship?
Yeah, it is. And love is going to be, and it goes on with children and be obedient. It's got a whole rollout of good, healthy relationships. But there are fringe people. And so is there any masculine trait that's not considered negative? That just depends. Yes, depending who you ask. And no, depending who you ask.
So I think a lot of that has to come with the kind of like the younger girls who feel like it's super okay to do OnlyFans instead of getting an education and a job. Like it's coming mostly from them. I don't really have seen a whole lot of educated professional women, or the standard. I guess you would say. I don't want to say that, because even now everybody said, "Oh, trad wife is." You created I wouldn't say it's an expletive, but it's certainly a derogatory term. You're a trad wife because you're traditional. You believe in traditional values. You think, and no one's saying that you can't work. We're just saying, hey, we want to be. I think that you should be the queen of the house, and I'm, I bring the money in, and you and I work together with the house. Like that's something that's easy. It's an easy life, but now everything has got to be so complicated and convoluted.
When I grew up in a family where my dad was, my mom and dad had a very traditional marriage model.
So did I.
My dad was in charge, and my mom was a supporter to him. And
that's what you meant? Oh, yeah. My mom was a Marine, and my dad was in the Air Force. So my mom was
that's not traditional.
The aggressor.
That's not traditional. So my dad was in charge, and my mom was, the one who she wanted to support, and she found meaning and purpose in that role. And my dad was just a strong, decision maker, and so that for them that was a role that worked. Would that work for everyone? No, it wouldn't work for everyone. But not everyone doesn't get married that way, and everyone's personalities. One of the things that's interesting to me when I look out and you see the change, the Leave It to Beaver family environment, where the traditional
we used to call
marriage,
it nuclear families.
Yeah, but where the dad was in charge and the mom was a supporter, that is changing over time. That's becoming less and less the case. And I think as I even watch my kids, my youngest who are 19 and 20 now, I think that they have a better handle on being expressive with their friends. My two youngest sons, they'll tell their friends who are guys, hey, I love you, dude, all the time. It's really rubbed off on me to help me be more willing to express my emotional attachment to someone. Mm-hmm. That's not your typical masculine thought process, right?
Yeah, not how it was previously defined. No.
Yeah. So
well, I mean that we're changing a lot of that. So I don't believe there are really any definitive gender roles. Like in my house, some of the traditional stuff in the 50s and 60s and 70s were like the woman cooks and she cleans, the man brings home
that's right,
and you should have dinner ready when it. No, to me I think that's all horse manure. I don't mind cleaning. I don't mind doing laundry. I don't mind.
But that's what I grew up in, and for my parents, it was great. That's not the relationship my wife and I have. We don't have that.
You guys share.
We share,
and that's
we're egalitarian, right? Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that dynamic, and there's nothing wrong with it. So I guess, don't tell me what you think my home life should be. Right. Like, okay, so your wife should be the one cooking and cleaning. I'm like, what? Why?
Yeah,
I'm okay with.
What if you're a really good cook?
Yeah, I'm a great cook. Like,
I'll tell you this even more. Like for me, I remember getting some marriage advice, and the marriage advice. This is in our premarital before we were married. The pastor told us, okay, the man is in charge, and so you need to handle the finances, okay? And so I did. What a mistake that was.
Disaster, right?
I'm not great with that. My wife she went to school, and part of her studies were math. Okay, well, guess what? Guess who's going to be better at this? And she's more organized than me as well, and she's more conscientious and more aware of it. And so finally, I got to the point where I'm like totally screwing up with our finances. I'm sending bills in late because I don't think of it, and I'm all, And then finally, she's like, could I just do it? I'm like, thank you. Yes,
Can
please.
I tell you an anecdote too?
Yeah.
So my sister, when she first got married, my sister has always been super smart. Like she is ultra smart. She's got a master's in education. She is a math phenom. When I talk about phenom, she will see numbers the way you and I read words.
Okay, yeah.
Like, she already has the answer.
Savant.
We look at stuff and we go,
yeah, right.
Hey, let me get my phone real quick. My sister's like, don't, and tells me. Not even kidding. It's that clear to her. She went on this Bible retreat, and it was a fringe Christian group. And she went on this Bible retreat with her and her husband. Okay. And they came back, and my sister was like, the man is the head. He's going to take care of the finances. Well, he's a big dumb kid he's a big man baby in a grown, okay.
I hope he's not watching this because
he's going to be, Gabe, I love you, but you're a man baby. He likes toys.
Okay.
He likes toys.
Who doesn't like toys?
He bought, when that Microsoft phone came out, the big giant foldable, he went and it was like $2,000 and he just and bought it. And my sister's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So like he spent them into a very difficult scenario, right? Yeah. Finally, my sister was like, okay, look, here's what's going to happen. I am a literal math genius. I'm going to do this. And now they own 2 homes. They don't own a single dime on anything. Yeah. No credit cards. They have all their cars paid off. And so like this, there's no such thing, I think, is a definitive role. If you excel at something, do it. If I excel at something, I'm going to do it. If I don't want to do it today, you do it. Well, so you made a great word, egalitarian. Let's do that.
Well, here's the biblical, talks about the gifts of the Spirit for the edification of the church, right? Mm-hmm. And how do those work? Which ones do the men have? It doesn't work that way because the way you're gifted is based on your personality and your training, a whole bunch of other things, and that's just a life principle. And I think if we can let go of something, I think probably a lot of what's driving some of this stuff is our perceptions of masculinity and femininity and how they need to apply and what I should be doing, and it's holdover from how we grew up, and times are changing. But your gift, lean into it. That's the biblical principle. If you're gifted in this area, lean into it. And so as soon as, like I said, when Susie took over the finances, our finances got better.
Right.
Because she's good at that. And I felt relief, and well, you're coming under your wife's leadership. I'm not. We're
the
working
Bible doesn't
together.
say leader. It says spiritual head.
Right. Yeah.
So it doesn't say you lead the household. It says you be the spiritual leader of the household. That means that I'm going to lead you and us in the proper spiritual direction,
in the pursuit of God, right? In the pursuit of Jesus. So, anyway, as we talk, like, when you talk about is there any masculinity that's not toxic? What is masculinity to begin with? Who are we asking? It's such an impossible question, and I think that everyone has opinions about this stuff, and everyone has definitions.
Every culture is different too.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
I have a guy at work. He's Catalan. So he's from Spain. He's from Barcelona, but he's Catalan. This is the most effeminate dude I think I've ever seen.
By effeminate, you mean he has feminine expressive...
Very, very expressive feminine qualities, the way he walks and talks and the way his hands move, the way the way he enunciates his words. And you know what? He'd show me pictures of him holding hands with his best friend. And to him, all of that was absolutely normal. He's married and has a bunch of kids. And I know that some people will say, well, maybe he's hidden and he doesn't know who he is. This guy's in his 50s and like he knows exactly who he is. And none of those traditional...
But culturally, that's more acceptable too, right?
Because like when I was in the Middle East, it is common to see best friend males holding hands walking down the street.
Oh, I'll tell you this. I went to Africa, and it's very normal when you walk and talk for men to be holding hands. And so the leader of this organization he said, Mike, come talk to me. And we're walking down the road and there's a bunch of people and he just reached over and grabbed my hand. And I was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Super uncomfortable, probably insecure about, like, I'm having all these thoughts like, I didn't think he was trying to pick me up. I didn't think we were going to go out on a date. I didn't think any of those things. Just culturally, it was unfamiliar territory for me. And so was he being feminine? Was I being toxically masculine? Like, I don't know. I didn't grow up like that. And so he did.
Let me give you the opposite. So when I lived in Mexico, it's a very masculine, traditionally...
Probably macho even.
Very I was going to say, they have a word. It's called machismo.
Okay.
And it's very patriarchal kind of culture.
Yeah.
The man is a dominant figure. Now, hang on a second. There is a weird dynamic. Once you get in the house, the woman is the boss. There's no...
Of the house.
Yes.
Okay.
No, and you're in the home.
Oh, she's in charge.
That's it.
Okay, all right.
This is her domain. Yeah, you rule out there and you make sure that we have what we need. But in here, I am the boss. And don't argue that. I'm telling you. Go into any Mexican household and you'll have the most butchest dude in the world. Yeah. He'll go in the house and grandma or mom or the wife, there's no brooking. So where do we as a culture we have the most like mixed culture, I think, on the planet. We have the most diverse.
Yeah.
In our country, we have the most diverse. It's impossible to find these traits, man. It really is.
Well, I think that typically what has happened, I'll share an opinion, which people can argue with. I think that, over time, what's happened is people have labeled things and used them as category, the ability to categorize someone. So when you talk about like toxic masculinity, that's nothing more than a dismissing of your behavior, and it's used as it's weaponized, right? And there can be, I guess maybe it's not always weaponized, but it feels like if I'm calling these things, if I'm trying to use this as a power over type principle towards you, then that's not healthy. It's just not. I mean, you just talked about the spectrum of different beliefs and behaviors that men across the world, and even here in America, from different cultures, we just act different. So we've got to get away from using this as a labeler and a dismisser and a cancel culture-ish kind of
get rid of
process.
The preconceived notions of what that is.
Just get to know people.
If I walk into any scenario or any conversation or any social situation, and I already have an idea of what is right, and I'm not open to anything, there's never going to be any growth in that room,
Not at all.
So I everything that you display is going to be, so if I'm angry, and a lot of that comes from anger, man, to be honest.
Or fear.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that. But a lot of this I'm seeing, and maybe it starts at fear, and then now the defense mechanism is to create anger, because anger is a secondary emotion. It's not
right. And when I say fear, I don't mean I'm scared of you. I mean I'm uncomfortable and afraid of the situation I'm in because I don't understand you. And so what we typically do is we go into protection mode, where the best thing to do is go into discovery mode.
Right.
Like you're saying. But you have to open your mind, because if I have a preconceived notion, I view everything you say and do through that lens.
Yep.
And that becomes it taints the water. I'm looking at, my glasses are all of a sudden they have a different smudge on them. And so I can't see you clearly. And so, and this is, by the way, hard to do, right? You grew up and you learned stuff from your family and your life experiences and your friends and all these things. And so,
well, that changes the older we get, though, right?
Well, if you work at it, it can. If you don't work at it, you'll probably double down on a lot of your behaviors. And
that's what my grandpa was.
Yeah. And so I just think we have to really work hard. I love it's a great word. Like, we've got to try and get to know other people. Try and, if you don't know someone, whose job is it to help you learn that? You.
It is.
So,
but what if you're reaching out across that gap and there's not a hand waiting for you? Do I brush my shoulders off like they told Luke?
Well, I wouldn't. What I wouldn't do is allow that to be a definer of all characteristics around this.
I was hoping you'd say
that's a person, right?
Yeah.
So this person acted this way. Okay. I tried. It didn't work. Does that mean I should never try again because one person rejected me? I don't think that. So.
And if honestly, if you're just getting rejection after rejection after rejection, it's probably you at this point.
It could be, yeah. I mean, it may. That's great too, because it may be the way you're actually asking the question. You've had those conversations where someone's saying something and they're talking and they realize they've tried to say one thing, but they've exposed what they really believe with the words they've used or the way they've asked it, and then they're like, "Uh-oh."
I do that all the time.
Yeah, and that could be the case where someone is asking you, or they're trying to reach out, but they're doing it in such a way that you're not comfortable with, or I'm not comfortable with, and so it doesn't really work out the way I wanted it to.
What's that term that when you're asking a question and you're already expecting an answer,
or not expecting an
answer? No, that you're expecting like a certain response.
Not rhetorical.
No, it's something else. Anyway, but if I come in and I ask you a question and I already assume what the answer is, or if I have already defined the answer in my head and you go against that, and now I'm going to call you a liar, and you're like, wait a minute, now I'm on the defensive. So like I said, when we come into a conversation and we're not open to either side of it, and that's a very, very difficult thing. But I think that's what we're trying to do with the conversation.
Yeah.
We're trying to open up that thing. So if you have an idea of what masculinity is or femininity is, we would love to hear your opinions. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe some advice. If you have some advice for in fact, Mike.
Experience. Tell us your experience.
Yes. I want to hear your story. We want to have a conversation about that. In fact, Mike, is there any advice you would give the young men out there or young women out there for how to express themselves and how to be comfortable with, no matter what affectations that you have, to be comfortable with that right there?
Yeah, I mean, be yourself. Be who you are. Be who God created. The worst thing you can do is believe you're supposed to be something and try and be that. Amen. The best thing you can do is be who God made you to be. And then be truthful and gracious. Seek to understand other people. Be loving and caring. Be, again, at the conversation we say, be curious, not judgmental. Mm-hmm. Find out and ask, and if something's not working, take another crack at it. Try again, and but yeah, like, be gracious and loving, and be yourself.
I think when the Bible tells us that to love our neighbors as ourselves, we also forget that it does also say love thy enemy, because number one, it confuses the heck out of them, and number two, it makes them question who you really are. It makes you stand out. It makes you the outlier. It makes you define the situation, the conversation. Because if I enter this conversation knowing that you are my enemy, right? That's the hard stuff. Loving my friends and my family. Biblically, it says that
shared principles and values. Yeah,
it's all easy, man. Right. I'm living in an echo chamber. Everybody's all warm and fuzzy. Yeah. But what the challenge is to love the people that disagree with you.
Yeah.
And we want to hear your disagreements. So,
in love.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It depends on how we start the conversation. I want you to visit our website. It's ConversationSLC.church. We're on all the major platforms. Once again, we'd love to hear your comments. Comment below. Let us hear what you have to say. I love each and every one of you as God intended. Thank you so much.
Yeah.